time to review the adventure-ready Hyundai Palisade XRT Pro. Hi everybody, my name is Pat. I am the Outsider with my wife Panna behind the camera. And I'm just a regular guy doing car reviews with no nonsense approach. If you like that, like, subscribe, and get on with the show. Hyundai Palisade XRT. I will be doing the calligraphy trim for the holiday season. We're gonna have that for 2 weeks doing the holiday, so I'm kind of gonna keep some of that calligraphy and hybrid version away from this one, because this one you cannot get in hybrid. The XRT only comes in that 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6. But before I get into that, let's talk about the overall aesthetics of it, the appearance. Yeah, I like the light bar, I like the LED lights, I love the tow hooks. Got to be orange if you're going to be recovering anything. And the 8.4 inches of ground clearance. But what I don't like is the fact that they got to make me get down here just to show you that it's all plastic underneath here. There's no such thing as a skid plates on the bottom of this, which makes me question the adventure ready side of this already. But we know that not everybody is gonna go off-road all the time. It still has quite a lot of capabilities, and it still looks, obviously that's opinion based, pretty good. I like the looks of it, I like the stance of it, and I like the ground clearance. Besides, in this segment, I will compare it with some at the end of the video or throughout the video, but it actually has some of the better numbers in ground clearance. It beats out the Explorer Tremor, as well as the Chevrolet Traverse Z71, Z71, whatever you want to call it. Their rugged adventure off-road worthy comparison. So ground clearance is definitely good to go. But I talked about the 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6. Let's talk about what that actually gives you. And it is a little bit on the low side when you do compare the comparison. So 287 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque via 8-speed transmission. Fuel economy is estimated, combined fuel economy at 20 miles per gallon or 12.7 liters per 100 kilometers. Price tag starts around $50,000 US or 60,000 Canadian is roughly what you can get for this particular model. So it is within the price point of all the others, but in the PowerPoint, which again, I'll talk a little bit more at the end, for a naturally aspirated V6, it's on the low side. It's actually lower than that 2.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder that they used to offer. So that kind of made me question a little bit when I got the specs. But a naturally aspirated V6 does improve for longevity as far as durable, less components, less turbo. Should be better for the long run. Over to the side here, we do have a pair of 18-inch wheels. Tires is 255/60 R18. Pretty good design. So we have cross contacts ATR tires over here. A little bit more rugged of a look, giving you a little bit more rugged grip as well for that all-terrain action. I got power folding mirrors. I got 360-degree camera, and lock and unlock is done via your hand sensors. However, it is not via sensors on both doors. So to lock, you just push this. There you go. And then the power folding mirrors action is going to happen, but it won't happen with the back door. Some vehicles do, some vehicles don't. XRT branding on the cladding as well. Looking pretty good. Let's take a look at the back end right now. In the back end, we have Palisade written out, Hyundai blackout, XRT Pro. Now I do have some reservations about the Pro aspect of it. I think it's a little bit premature on putting Pro on after the XRT badge. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Still got some more recovery tow hooks over here. And as far as towing, you can just remove that. It'll reveal a hitch, 5,000 pounds of towing. Pretty good, not best in class. That still belongs to the Nissan Pathfinder, which has a competitor to this, the Rock Creek. It looks very similar. Actually, it was very brown. And that's 6,000 pounds towing, so that's the best. But 5,000, still very good. I can unlock via the key fob or press the button back here. 19 cubic feet of space over here. So that's with the seats up. I do have some small storage over here, as well as a jack, because underneath I do have a spare tire. You got a 12-volt power adapter over here, and to lower the seats, I would essentially just yank this lanyard and push. So it's manual, yank and pull, yank and pull. But I don't have any problems with being manual for the third row, because it's so accessible, and it kind of limits any kind of issues that would happen. Because I had a vehicle that I turned in the third row on my very last day. When I turned it in, the seats would no longer go up and down, and they were motorized. So I think that can end up being a problem. 46 cubic feet of space with this third row down. That's actually pretty good, but if you want to maximize everything, then it's going to give you another 40 cubic feet of space. And over here I got buttons. So for this, you just press the button here and the spring loads it. Now I do have my child seat over there, so let me just take that out. Here we go. And my lovely camera wife, press that right button over there. There we go. Lies flat and flat. It's pretty darn flat. This is a captain's chair. So we're looking at 86 cubic feet of space and a fairly flat. So you could essentially set up a mattress back here and have yourself a little camp out on your little adventures. Now I'm going to show you how much leg room there is by lifting all these up and going back inside. Time for the big guy to go in the third row. I do have a push of a button right here. So it is kind of like spring loaded, and you push it to the side that way. And you also have another one at the top. There we go. And then I'm just going to make my way in. This is not going to be graceful. I am not flexible, and I'm big. So making my way. That just happened. Putting this back. I am 5'9" for reference, and this is 32 inches of legroom back here. Might not look like a lot, but it's pretty much standard. That's basically what they all offer. Back here I do have two cup holders, a USB-C, and a plastic piece to rest my arm. Overall, no, this is not the most comfortable spot for me. I could ask the person in front of me to move their seat forward, because they're dealing with a lot more legroom, and that's what we're going to talk about next. I'm just going to push this button here that's on top as well, and I can just get out of here. Now moving on to the second row, when I said in the back row I was saying they can move their seats forward, and that's because they can. You can adjust it. It's manually, it's not motorized, but still you can have quite a lot more room back there if the person in the second row is nice enough. Are you nice enough to give people in the back row some room? We'll find out. But over here I have, once I get in, I have 43 inches of legroom. That is definitely the best, I think, or one of the best. From the comparison I'm doing, it is the best. It's got the most legroom for the second row people. I also have reclining features back here. So you actually can max relax. And obviously if you go into top trims, you have like leg rests and all that stuff. This is not the top trim. It's kind of the middle trim. But over here I have storage access. I have 115 volt tri-prong plug-in. And we have the captain's chair set up. I'm 5'9", still haven't grown, and tons of headroom. And if you look up here, you have also the HVAC controls here. So I have heated outboard seats, as you can tell here. There we go. And then you can check your settings, have your temperatures and laid out and all that stuff. Pretty cool. Ventilation up here. I got some lights here as well. Holy crap handle. And overall, I got a nice upgraded Bose sound system. As we look at the doors right there, you can see it's kind of a minimalist kind of side door, but it has a couple more cup holders in there, and overall it's just so easy to maintain and so easy to keep clean that as a parent, that's definitely what I love. And what my kids love is the USB-C connection here on both seats, which means that the cable doesn't hang from the bottom. It's right here where your device would be in your hands. And of course, armrest reclined, and I am gonna take a nap, people. I'm just kidding. I'm going up in front seat next. Welcome to the front, drivers. And this interior has been getting quite a bit of grief from what I can see because it's a very dark black interior. I'm on the side that I like it. I think it goes well with the rugged theme. I think they've done enough to accentuate and where they could have easily put piano black, like here, it's like this gray fabric. Same thing here, XRT badge there. I think it looks, overall, it's a very nice looking interior. I like it quite a bit. I like the minimalist style of the doors here, very easy to clean. The handle, everything works perfectly fine. I got two, number one, number two for memory seat function that you cannot change on the fly, of course, which would have been appreciated because I like to move my seat sometimes when I'm driving. After driving for maybe like 20 minutes, I figure out really what my comfort zone is, and I can't save it on the fly, so that's kind of aggravating. Steering wheel feels really good. So we have a leatherette interior, in case you haven't noticed, and some hard buttons here, so lane keep assist and everything works really well. It's not highway driving assist level 2, because it doesn't have a lane changing assist or anything. I also have a 100% digital gauge cluster. So as I press this button over here, you can have different kind of information, and then I'll take you to the off-road screen right here. Gives you your pitch, your roll, your power output, as well as, there we go, temperature settings, oil temp, transmission temp, just all the information you would get. Just know that this is equipped with the e-LSD, so electronic limited slip differential. And I was trying to find out the power output they can transfer to the rear axle and to individual wheels, and I couldn't quite find that, but I think it's going to be the same as the Telluride, so it's a 50-50. So not as much as the Chevrolet Traverse that can send up to 100% power to an individual wheel back there. But again, you don't have underbody protection, so don't take this in places where you're really going to need that e-locker, because it's just going to be the trouble, in my humble opinion. Over here, we have the shifter and we have the start stop. So the shifter is just kind of rotary style. So I press on the pedal and I go forward for drive, and I go twist back for reverse. Over here, we get to see the camera quality. We're definitely not going to run over that little boy there because that's ours. But yeah, I love this aspect of it. Is the 360, and you can just go straight overhead. Now we do have a door that's open. That's why you'll see that here. We need that lovely camera lady to be able to come here and move around, and then you can just turn everything around. Camera quality 10 out of 10. I definitely do not have any problems with this, and I think it's very functional when you really want to zoom in on a certain area, get a certain look. It's there. Parking it is pressing the button at the end here. Now the start button could be in a better location. The shifter, I have no problem with it. The start button is just a journalist problem, perhaps. I'm not a journalist, but a guy who reviews cars, perhaps. I change car. You'll certainly get used to this. But for me, it's kind of like always looking and then finding it second nature. So not quite there. Auto hold and the drive mode. Let's go into some drive modes here. So you have Eco, Normal, Sport, and My Drive. And you'll see, like, where's the off-road drive? Well, that's terrain. You push down into terrain. And then you have snow, mud, sand. So downhill brake control on and off. So it does have a hill brake control. But yeah, let's go back to normal drive mode there. Digital screen here, and one thing, 5,000 pound of towing, but it's kind of similar to the Ford thing where you click on that and it's going to take you to all the steps when you want to add a trailer, right? So you change the name and just it'll take you to all the checklists that you need to go as far as making sure that your trailers hook up properly. So if you are a beginner or even experienced person and you're working, you're tired, you could always follow that checklist. It just makes it so handy, and I'm glad that Hyundai and more automakers are going that way just to make it safer. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto can be found here, and it's very responsive. This screen, I've had no issues with it. You can also have voice commands and such, and when you're tied into your phone and you press and hold the voice button, it goes into, for me, it's Android, so it would be going to Google. So I can definitely use my Google app to navigate via voice commands. I like the combination here of volume knobs and tuning, track, and then you have some tactile HVAC controls here. So you definitely have some knobs here to control temperature. That's key for me. And you do have tri-zone control, so I can flick to the rear here, but the responsiveness of these buttons here, very good. You can turn on your heated seat and then ventilate it, so it's heated and ventilated seats. As we look at the seats here, nice and perforated, and I have this one reclined completely all the way to back. The reason is this has much more of an angle recline that other manufacturers will. Basically, you can recline a lot further, so you can basically go on in full-on nap mode, and you can actually get top trims where you can actually raise your legs. This is not being it. So, but I do have a shelf here, pretty handy for people who want to rest stuff. Glove box, average size, and I have some buttons here that are a little bit far away, which I don't particularly like, but hill descent control, parking brake, and camera buttons. I would have liked to see that a little bit more centralized here. I do have 3 USB-Cs and my wireless, my wireless charger here, and big cup holders. Now we're gonna get to a part that I don't particularly like. So here, as you can see, I'm pressing down. This is soft. This is good to rest your arm. But while I'm driving, I'm usually in this particular position. This is hard plastic. This is not comfortable on my elbow. So on my drive back from Montreal to Quebec City, about 3.5 hour drive, I was like this, and I'm like, okay, this is not it. And when you open it, it's just this part. So I figured, I don't like that they did this. It could have just been all soft and have this whole part open like we usually do, because you put your hand here and you're like, it's not opening. Well, that's because you have to pop your elbow up, just like you would when you're dangling while playing hockey. Elbows up, it's always better. But not a fan of this. So this is definitely a con for me. But another pro is all the extra storage that you see down here, 12 volts. So you have 3 USB-Cs, you have 12 volt, you have another little shelf, lots of storage compartment. They were really smart about everything they did with this vehicle, from the shelving to the doors to maximize all the cargo space. I do have just a simple sunroof. So I would have liked to see a panoramic sunroof, but again, the HVAC controls are up here, so that would have made the that possibility a little bit difficult. But you know, people like panoramic sunroofs, right? Comment below. And I have an auto dimming mirror up here, but it does not switch into a camera angle, so it's just a regular auto dimming mirror. Overall, very functional, very good combination of screen, tactile, and buttons and knobs. So I am very happy with this, but how does it handle on the road and how does it drive? Let's go find out now. Let's go into sport mode, because I am on the pavement right now, and just gonna get on the straight and Aero here. I'm not gonna brake torque it, because who the heck is gonna grab a Hyundai Palisade, brake torque it at the red light? Like, just floor it. And that's what most people are gonna do, and that's gonna do 3, 2, 1, floor it. You're not gonna feel the difference between this year's and last year's, to be honest with you. It's competent enough, it's ample enough amount of power. The only reason why I kind of pick at it is because they put a pro badge on it. If they didn't put a pro badge on it, this wouldn't be an issue. That's all I'm saying, Hyundai. So I'm gonna go back to normal mode here. And you know what? As I'm on this country road here in Quebec, there's a lot of imperfections on this road, and this is where these 31s, this 31-inch tires, essentially are gonna come in handy. Now, the funny thing is, something I've noticed is that the calligraphy, actually, when you factor in that it's got a bigger rim and stuff, and the whole overall sizing is like 31.4 inches. So that's one of the reasons why I'm saying the XRT Pro should have a beefier tire, maybe like, I don't know, 33s. I wouldn't mind a pair of 33s on this, but as they are right now, as what I'm driving, it's really good and smooth at handling any kind of imperfections in the road, any kind of bumps will have you. So we will be going through, right about now I got a right turn. Let's test this body roll. I'm not going at excessive speed or anything, but yeah, so the body roll is in effect something that is expected with a vehicle that's more tuned for off-road. But here we are hitting tons of road imperfections, and it is fairly smooth at absorbing all those. So that has to do with the way the suspension works and the beefier tires. It's just going to give you a smoother ride. Now, to give you an example how much I've driven this week, I'm at 836 kilometers. Basically, I picked it up in Montreal, went to Ottawa, came back to Montreal, spent some time in the city of Montreal for a dinner, and then came all the way up to Quebec City. And then I've been driving, the last 3 days around Quebec City, doing various chores, just regular everyday life, taking my son to hockey practice and such. And what that results in fuel economy is at 12 liters per 100 kilometers. So that is better than what can be expected, which I believe is 12.7 liters per 100 kilometers, which equals out to 20 miles per gallon. So basically, the fact that I'm getting better than that, let's round it off to 21 miles per gallon, which at that point kind of comes in line with a lot of competitors. We're talking about some of these inline turbo four-cylinder variants, such as the Chevy Traverse and of course, the Explorer Tremor. So it's not exactly synonymous that if you go with inline four, you're automatically going to save up on fuel, because I think those get about 21 or 22 miles per gallon, so roughly around 12 liters per 100 kilometers, which makes it that I'm fairly happy with the fuel economy. Another joy of driving this is the overall comfort. I've just told you that I've driven so many hundreds and hundreds of kilometers, long road trips, and the fact that the lane keep assist, the highway driving assist, is actually really good at maintaining the center of the lane. So basically you can relax a little bit. It's going to make these adjustments for you. It's not as smooth as highway driving assist level 2, as you see in Genesis that have lane changing assist as well and stuff, and that one is almost hands off kind of advanced cruise system. But this one is still going to help you quite a bit on your long road trips. The overall practicality, as well as the interior, the combination of knobs and a little bit of screen and everything, just really blends well. I like what they've done here. It's very easy to drive on the fly without taking your eyes off the road so much. Now, I do wish that the mode button on my steering wheel would be a drive mode button, so that would make it easier, but alas, it's not. It's just a media mode. There we go. It's just a media button, so maybe we have enough media options through the screen, and here on the buttons, just change that mode into a drive mode. I know they do it for some of their vehicles, like I know Kia has drive mode buttons on the steering wheel. Let's just make that happen. And then all you can do here is have your terrain mode on as a button you push. Noise, vibration, harshness has been very, very pleasant on all aspects. As far as noise, road noise, it's a fairly quiet vehicle, even with the all-terrain tires, but they're not aggressive all-terrain tires, let's face it, so they don't create a lot of road noise. And I find that the cabin is very well insulated, so the ride is quite pleasant in here. Nothing as far as vibration and harshness, so it made it for a really, really nice highway driving and road trips, which I've done this week. Maybe more than I would personally like. I've been driving way too much. But the Palisade has made all those long hours spent behind the wheels quite pleasant. Let's just climb up this mountain. There you go. Oh yeah. So I think this is an 11% incline, and it had no issues climbing that whatsoever. It's quite a bit of power. It's not something you're gonna miss out. I'm just thinking they're not trending in the right direction by putting the Pro sticker on there, and well, dropping the horsepower and stuff. I mean, we need to give an extra 150 horsepower if we're gonna put that Pro sticker on there. That's just my personal opinion. Another turn here, and what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go on a dirt road where this will obviously have no problems with that. And I want to talk a little bit about, some more about what your off-road capabilities are. Now let's change on the fly terrain. Let's go, you know what? Let's go mud and activate off-road screen here. Now this is where I kind of have issues. As I put my turn signal in typical Hyundai fashion, I have a camera that pops up my angle. But in the same way that when you activate a turn signal, your camera shows your blind spot, when you go into mud mode, there we go. So I have this second screen on the off-road portion that does show me where my tires are going to make contact. So let's go. I don't need to turn my turn signal to go on the trail, I guess, but I do anyways. So what I want to be careful of is, obviously, I don't have any underbody protection. I like the see-through vision here, that you can see through the vehicle. That is pretty cool. And the overhead camera, I like that. That is pretty cool. It's kind of the first time I play around with this, but I am going to go a little bit off-road. And approach angle, if you're wondering, 20.5 degrees for approach, 18.3 degrees for breakover, and 22.4 degrees for departure angle. That's basically your angles here. As I'm going in this little trail, now I'm going to hit a little bit of mud, and this is where the camera comes in handy, because I have no underbody protection to speak of. I have a little bit of it, but not really where you would normally have some in the front part. So I'm going to put my tires exactly where I'm going to be able to stay away from those ruts and not drag on the bottom. And this camera makes it very handy to do so. And then I can just drive off. Oh, I just hit 15 kilometers an hour. So basically the camera shuts off as soon as I passed over 10 kilometers an hour. Let me see here, 9, 10, yeah. 10 kilometer an hour shut off for this camera that shows you where your contact patch. I believe we could just not have that. I think that's a little slow. Here we go. Absorbs these bumps fairly well. I got a lot of low end torque in mud mode. Whoa! This is very torquey in this drive mode. Yeah, definitely enjoyed doing that. So you want the most kick out of the Palisade XRT Pro? Throw it in mud mode. That's gonna do the trick. Let's go back to just normal drive and kick that mud mode off. So that's how it drives, but how does it compete? Well, I mentioned a Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek, so it's another naturally aspirated V6. It has a little bit more towing, but aside from that, this has much more ground clearance, I think by an inch, more leg room, and the cargo space is about the same, but I like the interior here. I think it's a lot more modern of an interior, and a lot more maximized as far as what you can do for it. A lot of more plugins and everything. I just think the overall vehicle is more modern. So what I found was other competitors that were just as modern, but they actually used turbo 4-cylinder. So let's see how that compares. Talk about the Chevrolet Traverse Z71 or Z71 and the Ford Explorer Tremor. So that Tremor badge is now being thrown on the Explorer. Let's see how that fares. So price-wise, this one's cheaper by about $2,000 less. And ground clearance one, this one's king. This one is absolutely king in the ground clearance, because you got 8.4 inches of ground clearance compared to 7.7 on the Traverse and 8.2 on the Tremor, which really surprised me because the Tremor is supposed to be way more off-road capable, and by the name and everything, that's what you would think from Ford. They make the Bronco and everything, but not actually the case. However, where those two win is underbody protection. So this is very limited in underbody protection. It's basically plastic all in front. You have a little bit of skid plates, I think, in the middle, but not even the front components are protected by the underbody, so not very good in that aspect. You gave me the ground clearance, but you didn't give me the protection. It's kind of how I feel about the Palisade XRT Pro. Price-wise, I already went that, but horsepower. Here's the thing. This is a naturally aspirated V6. Yet it is the most underpowered one of the three, because the other two use inline 4 turbo 4 cylinder, and the Traverse has 328 horsepower, 326 pound-feet of torque. The Tremor, the Explorer Tremor has 300 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque, because I'm talking about the inline 4. Yes, they have a 6 option, but that's not what I'm comparing it. Price-wise, that would jump up the price a little bit too much, compared to 287 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. So that's kind of comes to the point where I don't see the merit here for a Pro badge. I see the XRT badge merited with the ground clearance, the tires, the e-LSD, so the rear locker. Yeah, that's all fine and well. Legroom. This is champ also in legroom for the second row. Nothing beats it. It has more legroom in the second row by 2 inches than all the other competitors. So that is one of the things you're prioritizing. You want your kids to have plenty of legroom, or whoever's sitting in the second row there. Clear winner. Cargo space, 86 cubic feet of space compared to 85 for the Explorer, but then it falls a little bit short to 97 cubic feet for the Traverse. Where I stand here when all things are said and done, so this is obviously a more affordable option, very good warranty, naturally aspirated V6, kind of gives you that more reliable feel. However, it's going to feel a lot more underpowered compared to those two. But the way they maximize the space in there, that's definitely one of the things that sets the Palisade. And you kind of gotta go, you have to go into those vehicles to kind of see it, or definitely go check out my other reviews of those vehicles and go see it. But I feel like this one gives me a more open air concept and just more spacious feel. But the Pro badge, this is where my con becomes for the Palisade. I feel like they were very preemptive in giving this Palisade a XRT badge warranted. Pro badge, in my opinion, not. I feel like they should have another option where they can power this baby up with a twin turbo V6, and then you slap that Pro badge along with maybe some more aggressive tires and underbody protection. Heck, you know what? You're already king in the ground clearance, so you don't really have to do another inch lift. But I think that Hyundai should definitely do a separate, an XRT trim, XRT Pro trim, where you have that twin turbo exhaust, also modified exhaust, where you have that nice sound, that rumble that will definitely compete with some of the more noteworthy, like for example, that V6 Explorer Tremor. So that's just where I'm at, because everything else is there. Everything inside, the tech is great. The comfort is to the max. The cargo space, the utility, heck, this is a vehicle, not this one, the Calligraphy, but the Palisade is a vehicle that we chose to take for 2 weeks, go on holiday trips, go see every family members we have in different provinces and everything like that. But it's going to be the hybrid, and I haven't mentioned the hybrid because the XRT doesn't offer it. So that's where I stand on my pros and cons, and I overall really like this vehicle. I just like the possibility of what else they could do with it. Just add the XRT Pro as a badge, as an ultimate at the top. Calligraphy and XRT Pro, just like all these other vehicles you're seeing. Toyota does it with a TRD Off-Road and a TRD Pro, which is also one of the top dogs. Let me know what you guys think about this overall review. Comment below what you think about the vehicle. Are you buying one? Did you already buy one? I'd love to hear you, and I definitely respond to every comment. Until the next review, I'll see you guys later.